we are seeing a weaker shilling, Kimathi, but we also know that bank rates have come down from those 28% levels in August to 7.18%. So it seems as though monetary policy is taking an effect.
Oh yes, Lerato, finally we seem to be on a very good footing as far as that overnight lending rate is concerned. It's unbelievable that we've come down almost 20 percentage points over the past 3 weeks or so. So it's good news for the banks as a whole, and also for the Kenyan population as a whole that does business with the banking institutions.
But I mean, at above 95 shillings to the dollar, the shilling is still under significant pressure. That's even prompted the state president to now make his views known, and he says the authorities must do everything to curb speculators. Do you think the speculators are very active in this market and that's why we're continuing to see the shilling battered? Or is it really a function of the inflation rate, which is really very serious?
I think it has more to do with inflation than speculation at this point. Then again, I really haven't been buying the speculation argument. So in my opinion, it really is an inflation play. Remember, from an economic theory perspective, inflation and foreign currencies and interest rates really tie in very closely. So unless the inflation is arrested, I think that the shilling will continue to be under pressure. And this week, I hope that the inflationary figures for the previous month will be out. And from there, we should be able to get some sense of direction as to the way forward on the shilling.
What we're seeing on the inflation side, the shilling side, and the coming down of these interbank rates, how's that influenced the fixed income side? Because we had started to see yields on treasury bills rising significantly, and as a result, the fixed income side of the market wasn't attractive, especially because the equity side isn't. It just wasn't providing any sort of respite.
Oh yes, all in all, looking at it from real investment, real return perspective, the equities have not been looking very attractive, neither have the fixed income securities. So really the inflation perspective, should this be arrested over the next week or two, in terms of looking and backwards and getting some positive news from last month's inflation figures, I hope that the fixed income plays will really become more and more positive looking. Remember, for the past month or two, we've really seen a lot of preference towards shorter term maturities, whereby a lot of players in the fixed income sector have been preferring the shorter dated maturities because of the rising yield curve, and I think that is set to continue unless we really have the inflation concern arrested.
All right, let's take a look at what's happening on the markets today. CMC, that stock is up 7.1%, but we've also heard that in the last week there's been a bit of a board shake-up with the chairman ousted, replaced by another one. The board disagrees on the strategy of taking the company forward. What do you make of what's going on at CMC, and why are we seeing the stock price improve significantly today?
Well, at CMC, really what we're seeing, I think, in my books is corporate governance at its best, whereby really the shareholders really have to buy into the corporate plan. And once they do not buy into the corporate plan going forward, then we're bound to have changes in management, changes in the board, and that kind of a thing. The chairman at CMC the recently hosted chairman at CMC really stayed on for a very short duration. And unfortunately, the sales figures there really have been lackluster. That's why the growth there has not been looking too good. So the change in the chairmanship there should really bring the message home to all management across the board.
Okay, with these changes, though, what are the prospects for the company? I mean, it's effectively the third largest automobile dealership in Kenya, but how many Kenyans are thinking of buying cars in the current economic cycle?
Oh yes, that is the real concern, and that is the real issue with CMC. In terms of looking at new car purchases, Kenya really is an area whereby the second-hand market is what really drives the car purchases. So that is the real issue of concern there, that the growth has not been positive in terms of looking at the sales figures for automobile companies, And without a management that is able to really tap into a niche, and in that niche draw very positive returns, that really is the concern, because the second-hand car dealers really are the ones that many times laugh all the way to the bank.
British American, they went on stream last week, but already we know that the subscription for their IPO was fairly modest at 60%, so it shouldn't be a surprise that the share price is dropping. Or am I missing something here?
Unfortunately, it has got to do a lot with the bearish sentiment that has been on the stock market for quite a while. And with the IPO not being highly subscribed, then actually what we are seeing is a lot of supply on that particular counter. Unfortunately, they will also have to reverse and kind of cut back on the growth assumptions that they had in terms of skimming back on some of the projects, and that's not really a positive thing for this kind of stock. So looking forward, one has to discount that aspect of the forward-looking statements and the guidance that management had provided, and kind of discount that, and that is why we are really seeing the stock under pressure.